JamieStarr here, New World News Network. Tonight, we are going to go over the JCC bomb threats. First off, welcome back, everyone. I took a small little break. It was my birthday, so just kind of doing stuff to get my life in order. Anyway, so JCC bomb threats. We know after Trump got elected, and even leading up to Trump being elected, it is just repeated ad nauseum and supposed to be accepted at face value that Trump's election has emboldened white supremacists and emboldened and empowered bigots somehow. And I mean, I guess you could say that Obama's presidency emboldened social justice warriors. In a way, I don't see emboldened bigotry. I see Trump's election actually emboldening social justice warriors, because now they actually have a figurehead to fight against. You know, you could fight against the man and the system, but it was hard for them to do it with Obama being in office because they loved him. So anyway, we kept seeing all this, you know, all the Muslim hate attacks, all the Trump's an anti-Semite. They try to say that. They try to say that about Bannon and Breitbart and Trump, and it just, none of it adds up or stacks up. And then you kept having all these bomb threats at these JCCs. And of course, anyone who, you know, has access to data or common sense assumed it would be an inside job, because these things generally were. The hijab attacks, you know, those girls lying because they broke their curfew, all sorts of, you know, black dudes spray painting swastikas. Basically, it was the, like, cis, heteronormative, straight white male capitalist, the boogeyman, getting framed left and right. So we can get into the fake news CNN clip for a bit.
Police have arrested an American-Israeli Jewish teenager for scores of bomb threats, not only in the United States, but also in New Zealand and Australia, police say. This is the result of a months-long undercover investigation between Israeli police and the FBI, also including other countries as part of the investigation. Police arrested the 19-year-old suspect Thursday morning, taking computers and evidence from his home in Ashkelon in southern Israel. They say he camouflaged his computer and changed his voice when making robocalls to JCCs, Jewish community centers, and other institutions, making it harder to track him down.
We're, of course, looking as to why he got...
Alright, so that's what happened. The craziest thing about this, and the worst part is, I can't even show it. I subscribe to the Forward, all these crazy newsletters, because I like reading crazy shit. And I tried to bring back this article. As you can see from the headline up here, a Jew made the JCC bomb threats. This is what heartbreak feels like. And it was just this whole article going and being like, I couldn't believe this was happening to us. And now I can't believe it happened. You know, it was perpetrated by one of us. And I mean, again, if you know the MO, it generally is. You shouldn't be surprised. But it was like this whole article lamenting not having haters, basically. I mean, it just went through and was like, we've been saying for months that this is part of Trump, and it was the right-wingers, and it was the alt-right, and it was Bannon, and it was Breitbart, and it was the racist, white supremacist right-wing in the Trump White House, and now no one's gonna believe, because we've been on the offense against someone who wasn't attacking us, and now we found out it was one of us. It wasn't even an outside force, and I mean, it was like them basically acknowledging they've been crying wolf and lamenting the fact that now their cries are delegitimized. So it's very interesting. I'm sure if you could search the web hard enough, you could pull it up. There were plenty of articles like that, which was the really disturbing part. And see why they would want to take it down. And then I got this update today. Doctors question whether brain tumor caused JCC hoaxer to make bomb threats. And it immediately, the first paragraph into it, The mother of an 18-year-old Israeli-American suspected of making hundreds of fake bomb threats at American Jewish institutions said she wants him to get brain surgery to get rid of the tumor his family claims was the cause of his behavior, but doctors question her claims. See, the doctors, they make it, if you just read the headline, seem like there is a brain tumor, and you know, anyway, let's just go through it. One expert says that such tumor usually causes sensory issues and not behavioral problems. I'm not saying it is impossible, said Jeffrey Cohen, presumably another Jew, the chair of the neurology department at Dartmouth. It would just be in the realm of something so rare, we would write a medical article about it. According to the teen's lawyer, Shreyanir, he has a benign tumor in a part of the brain known as the foramen of Monro, which is a passage for spinal fluid. A tumor in that spot can block the flow of spinal fluid and cause a condition known as hydrocephalus, which can affect consciousness and lead to headaches, vision problems, weakness, and memory loss. Cohen said it would be very unusual for a tumor in that region to cause a person to make violent threats, though not totally out of question. Do we even know if this kid has this tumor? Like, that's what I'm wondering, and that's sort of the thing about the headline I was going to say, and I wanted to read the rest of the article before I got ahead of myself. Does he have the tumor? The doctors should be questioning whether he has the tumor, not whether or not the tumor can make him do this. But obviously they want some reason. They don't want it to be like, oh, he just thought it would be funny for shits and giggles, because then that kind of shows you how lack of anti-Semitism there really is. I don't think there's such hatred in the world as people would like to make it seem. One of the crazy things, though, is, you know, I get all these other things, and I'm just going to tie this all together and just do all the forward stuff from them, and it's all like social justice nonsense from whoever this guy is. I tried looking him up on Twitter, and I just found some other guy who writes for another place. Maybe he writes for all of them, but he didn't post any of these articles on there, so I didn't know if it was him. Anyway, why ScarJo's whitewashed ghost is a Jewish assimilation parable. And it's just social justice nonsense. Same as, you know, why aren't there enough black people? Why is Iron Fist white? Why aren't they just holding up a Jewish person and saying, Jew, Jew, Jew? Like, so that we all know they're super Jew. It's so obnoxious. Like, they don't understand. Like, this one is going on, and it mentions that Scarlett Johansson plays a fucking robot, like an android. She's an android. They don't need to develop her ethnic identity. It's a goddamn android. Like, it's so simple. But this is like a furnace that they have to keep feeding. When we see our own uniqueness as a virtue, only then can, you already know in the language where it's going, only then can we find peace. Declares in the new, Chief Tezuki Amaraki declares in the new 2017 live-action reboot of the classic Ghost in the Shell, it's an ironic moral for a film that is already infamous for its whitewashed casting. Milo Yiannopoulos posted a video of a bunch of Japanese people being questioned about the whitewashing thing, and they think it's a joke. They don't give a fuck. Their thing is, oh, well, they probably just picked her because she was the best one for the job. It's a cartoon anyway. It's not real. What's the big deal? Like, this is like, if there are third world problems and first world problems, this is like 0.5 world problems. Like, this is a layer above that. The filmmakers did the least unique thing possible and cast Scarlett Johansson. What a diss. Playing some android or alien or superhero with the perfect body. Is that body shaming? Like, is that like, passive-aggressive body shaming? ignoring its own moral lesson, and the film erases Major's particular history and replaces it with the same default white Aryan ideal as ever. And you know, it's so funny how, there's another article that will make this point as well, how with these people, when they're talking about representation, they want, like, you know, they had a whole different idea of what the Iron Fist show would even be about, but they want it to be like Luke Cage, basically, where they want it to be like this fucking person's identity, and every other, you know, if it's an African American person, every other word out of their mouth is like, slaves and masters were whipping us till Martin Luther King, and then Lord bless the Rosa Parks on the bus of the, like, they want them being like that. You know, I recently watched again the fucking Joshies, whatever her name was, the humongous chick. And there's this fucking black woman standing with her in court, or not in court, in a town hall meeting with a tiara on, looking all crazy. And she's just like, she just like Rosa Parks. She just like Sojourner Truth. She just like this person. This America. This America. This America. This America. Like, out of her fucking mind. But, it's like they want that presented in this, like, well, this is, you know, we just have to infuse all of this history and this identity and this, you know, commercialized, fucking corporatized version of a racial identity. And then for a white person, all they have to do is exist and be there and have white skin. And then that is this epitome of Aryan idealism, and, you know, what to them it's whiteness and its depths, and, you know, just expounded upon because the person is there. It's I assume they don't realize that's how they are, but the more they publish this shit, the more you see it. Johansson herself, though, isn't technically an Aryan at all. Ha! Isn't that funny? Her mother's Jewish. Oh man, isn't that crazy? The film not only whitewashes Major's Japaneseness, it also whitewashes Johansson's Jewishness. Asians and Jews have both been considered model minority, and they act as if I've seen the movie, there's no part in the movie where she's fucking got her hand on her heart saying the Pledge of Allegiance. There's nothing in this movie to give her an American background. She shows up to her Chinese mother's house. It's just that's what the robot looks like. What's the big deal? That's what the robot looked like in the thing. It's a goddamn android. Asians and Jews both have been considered model minorities. Both have been told if they work hard and fit in, they can be accepted into whiteness. Who's telling them this? I don't think anyone. And, you know, both of these groups do better than Americans in America by not assimilating. Did you know that? There's isolated Chinese communities, there's isolated Hasidic Jewish communities, there's isolated Jewish communities in general. They isolate, they don't try to be accepted into the group, they keep their traditions, they excel and do better than average, you know, white guy, and then they come off with this fucking bitching and moaning and whining and, you know, articles about, oh, you know, a Jewish guy is actually the one that's been threatening us, and we've been shit-talking white people the whole time, and now they're not going to be sympathetic to us anymore because we've been jerks. It's so odd that this is what it comes to, and for the people who are winning in a lot of regards. Ghost in the Shell is a near-future cybernetic cyberpunk parable about identity and self. Major is a human whose consciousness has been turned into data and placed like a ghost into a superpowered android shell. In an American context with a Jewish actor, it's easy to see this as a metaphor for cultural and racial assimilation. No, It's not. It's just a movie. And they just casted someone who they knew would pull it off and be able to sell in a global market. It's simple. It's actually the evil capitalist conspiracy. And I try to explain that to people, and they don't want to hear it. Is this comic book Holocaust survivor being turned into a Nazi? Same guy, just goes through. Magneto identifies more as a mutant than a Jew. Magneto never expands upon his Jewish identity. They just mention the Holocaust, but it was the Holocaust and how it brought out his powers, not his embrace in Judaism. Now he's fucking joined the Hydra. They were Nazis. Oh my God. Let the fucking people create. I mean, I would hate to be a comic book fucking writer. This is beyond criticism. This is people's racial narcissism and fucking paranoid conspiracy theories just run amok. It's so crazy. Even when I believed conspiracy theories in the Illuminati, and not that I don't believe it, I just have more of a grasp about it, that it's not some mystical voodoo thing. It never was this fanatical. Oh, and here's another one. Why is Ivanka Trump considered a goddess in China? And it basically goes through and just says, because she's a conservative woman, she handles herself, she married into a good family, married up, she has her kids, she's caring about her family, you know, conservative woman, and that's China's ideal woman, and it's sad that that's not America's ideal woman, and it's funny that, you know, cultures, this is another thing that feeds anti-Semitism. You have cultures like Jews where they encourage everyone to act one way, and they do something else. And once people realize that, they start to get a little resentful. And then add in the, oh, we don't have any haters, you don't believe us about our haters. You make your bed, you lay in it. And I don't see why you can go around hating on everyone and not expect to at least adequately in return. Every action has equal and opposite reaction. But as far as all the super social justice warrior stuff, you know, the handling of Jewish people and the handling of African Americans in America is sort of what led the way for then the LGBT, the trans, you know, it's just all started with good intentions and seems very well-meaning, and then it's just kid gloves for everyone except the majority, and then you crumble society. So anyway, that was those videos. I got bacon in the oven, so I gotta go make sure it doesn't burn, because I need myself a sandwich. Have a good one, everyone. Take care. Subscribe. Do whatever. Comment. That's it.